And there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 10/10, October 10th edition of Morning Coffee Review. Holy cow, the year is flying by. Well, I'm here in our Little Rock headquarters, and we're having a little bit of technical fun things today. We got different monitor displays going on. So if you see us looking in weird places or troubleshooting, that's sort of what we're doing. But we've got some fun stuff to talk about. As we're going, as always, put any questions you have inside the chat. If you're over there watching on YouTube, feel free to put things in the chat there as well, and those will come back to us in real time. How's it going today, Michael, outside of computer problems?
Good. Today it's starting to cool down. My grass is finally starting to grow in, so I'm pretty excited. The weather is starting to become warm. I mean, colder, but not like super warm. You know what I mean? It's a mix. It's like 90s and then 60s at night. So we're excited out here. The Grand Canyon States, I am working on my new laptop, and I update on that as well. When I installed Revu, apparently when you sign in with your user profile and tool sets don't go with you. So wherever you do go, if you single sign on somewhere, just be aware your profile and tool sets don't go onto that. I'm assuming when you just push to cloud, that's just to the cloud platform. It's not really to the saving it in some cloud for you to grab.
Oh, I lost your audio, bud. That was weird. You guys can still hear me all right, though? I can't hear you. You got robotic, and then you went away. So that's just how our morning's going. We're having some technical difficulties, but that's okay. Because that kind of ties in with our theme for the day. So as Michael's troubleshooting, we'll go ahead and get started into what we're going to talk about. So today's all about sharing documents and adding markups and resolving comments, right? So it seems fairly rudimentary, but this is a different approach than what we've done before. And the reason for this is that sometimes we're working with clients or other folks who they don't have Revu or they haven't been exposed to it. So this is the perfect way to share a project without them needing all the things, and we're just going to sort of go through that workflow as if we're going to share a file with someone who doesn't know Revu all that well, and we're going to go through that workflow. So what we'll do is I'll pull up a document. We're going to set up some statuses in there. We're not going to go nuts with the statuses. Let me see if Liz is here to yell at me. No, but we're going to set up some statuses, just rudimentary stuff, and then we're going to upload that drawing with some markups on it to Bluebeam Studio projects. And from that studio project, we're going to explore the two different ways to share a file. So still can't hear you, bud. But in the meantime, of course, if you've got any questions about anything involving Revu, or you've got a story or anecdote to share, feel free to type it in the chat. All right. So as we're going, as we're waiting for Michael's troubleshoot, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Hopefully I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. And you should see my Revu. Perfect. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Now we got you. You're live.
Yeah. What I was saying is that your profile doesn't switch over when you sign into Revu somewhere else. It's great.
Which I thought that's how it was supposed to be, though. Like that was one of the benefits, was it would follow you.
I think the push is to cloud. It's not to cloud save profile.
Right.
So like, because I signed in yesterday and I didn't have anything. So it was good stuff. Just so everyone's aware, I guess it's all good in terms of learning that I had to, I guess, change to this computer. But yeah, when I signed in, it doesn't bring anything over from my old desktop that's, fried. So if you ever try to sign in somewhere else, just be aware that your profile and tool sets don't go with you to that computer.
Right. And there's some comments that it really should be a roaming profile. And
I was hoping it would be
so amazing, right? Because that means wherever you stored your file, or wherever computer that you log into, you won't have an issue, right? So you'll be able to just have all your tools there, regardless of which one of the 5 tools you want to do that. So
Yeah.
Bob's asking, can you save your profile and tool sets to a Bluebeam project? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll dive into that, but it does make it a little different because yeah, you'd have to sync it to every computer that you use. So some people might not like you cluttering up their stuff if you're borrowing a machine, but that's a problem for another time, right?
That's what I thought, Doug. I thought that that's what it was. So fortunately, I found out for you all the hard way by my desktop, blue screening, but no worries there. So at least I found out the hard way. So just be aware, it's not as important to me because I do have access to a lot of the things and can recreate them, but it would be unfortunate for any of you if it is hyper important for you to be able to do that. So one of the good ways would be, Liz said OneDrive, anywhere that is a cloud storage, make sure you back those up somewhere. If you're trying to go elsewhere to a different desktop, if you're out in the field and going into some type of area where you're going to leverage a single desktop to sign into, that those are somewhere. You could also, another idea, not just in a studio session, you can attach any file that you want to a PDF. So you could attach your tool sets and your profile, probably just a profile because it'd come your tool sets if you did the dependencies. And that workflow was what I would used to use on my iPad. So I would invite myself to a session, go out into the field on my iPad, click on that tool set, and it would populate the tool set onto my iPad. So you could do the same type of workflow.
Yep, and we've done that before a couple times, and we might have time. We'll do it again today. But that's a really tricky way, or slick way, I should say. Not tricky. It's pretty easy. Good way to get things moved back and forth. So maybe today we will dive into studio sessions while we're already going to hit the studio button for projects. We'll just see how the day goes, right? And thanks for that question. How do we attach a profile to a PDF? Let's do it. So, okay, so coming back to our workflow today, right? We're going to open up a file, we're going to put some comments to it, and we're going to share it with somebody who, assume, doesn't know a whole lot about Revu. So let's make their life easier, right? So I'm going to go to one of my little files here. Let's see what I got. Again, the joy of getting a whole new computer is that
hey, Jason got one too. Look at that.
All my files are everywhere, but that's okay. Let's go pick this one. Electrical takeoff. Ooh, this looks fun. There we go. We're gonna, and we'll just use this one. It's fine. I'll revert from being falling into my comfort zone of my site plan file or the other revision one, but we'll just use this demo one from Bluebeam, right? So it looks like we've got some electrical takeoff. Looks like some counts have happened. Looks like there's a space in here already. That's fine, right? Because we're going to do a little bit more and dive into this file a little bit more. So a couple of things that we want to think about is I'm going to send this to somebody. And let's assume the file size is really big, right? This comes up a lot. How do I get my file to you? Or it's too big to email, or do we use Dropbox or Google Drive or Autodesk Construction Cloud or one of the 472 different cloud sharing methods? We're actually going to use Revu to share that file. But first, let's dive into this and make it a little easier, right? Now, we're going to make this fairly simple, and we're going to do a couple things to make it specific to this project, but we're not going too far into the weeds, right? Because remember, the person that we're imaginarily sending this to, I think that's a made-up word, doesn't know a whole lot about this. We're going to make their life easy, right? So in this file, if I go to the markups list, so pulling up that horizontal lines there, I see this is one I've already messed with because you can see my not so technical terms for electrical stuff. So I apologize to any Sparkies who are listening in. I'm totally using the wrong terminology for these things, but that's the joy of having fun with this. So what looks like I used this for before was doing some takeoff. So I was doing some counts on electrical outlets and ground fault interrupters and outlets and things, and I already have that space set up for this room. But what I don't have in here is comments. Now I do have status, but I don't have comments. And there's a difference between the two as we're going through here. So the columns that I have shown here aren't exactly what I want to see. So I can come up here to markups list, go to columns, and I can go turn on or enable any of the other columns that I might need. So there's that comments one. I can put it there if I need to. And if I don't like the order, I can drag those back and forth by doing that. So again, if you haven't opened up Revu in a long time, or this is your first time, if you're not seeing all the information that you want to see, go to the markups list and enable or disable those columns.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. I heard it scratch out. I think I need to put my mic into a different USB-C port. So be aware also the different version. We talked about that last week. That was last week, right? Or the week before last week. Being aware that you can't customize the markups in with the newer versions of Revu in terms of basic doesn't allow you to do it. And then custom exports doesn't allow it to happen unless you have complete. So be aware of the different versions, especially since you can no longer purchase perpetual licenses, which means they haven't announced it yet, but there will be an announcement at some point of end of life of Revu 20. So be aware of that. And we did this, right? Or did I make a video? Is that why? No, I think we went through this. Okay.
So you made like a 20-25 minute video about the differences between the tiers, basic, core, and complete, but also, just a few weeks ago, we went through the differences there. So that is something to be cognizant of. Now, some of that doesn't always apply to the studio environment that we'll be dealing with later, but it's still something to be considering.
Yeah, go back up. It was right up there, I think.
Now, as far as the end of life, normally, as we saw in the past, the end of sale came and then end of life was announced right after. That's what happened to 19 and below. So far, what they're saying is that they have not set a date yet for end of life for Revu 20. So I was wrong.
They haven't said it yet.
I thought it would be shortly after they did the end of sale last month. They haven't announced it yet. So for you guys that are stuck on Revu 20, for some reason, it's okay to upgrade. Come on in, the water's fine. It will still be around for at least a year past when they announce it, right?
Whenever they announce it, yeah.
But the latest thing that we've heard is that, or the latest thing we've heard as a platinum partner is that they have not set that date. So they try to give us as much warning as we can get. And of course, when we get the warning, we will do our best to toe the line and warn you all so you can be well equipped. Since I know there's so many IT folks and folks who are in the license management world listening in, we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make the decisions you need to make.
Yeah, and there's that thing right there. So filter and sort the comments and comments. So filter and sort and comments. So you can't filter, you can't sort, and you can't comment. That's weird.
I think you can't filter the comments. I imagine you can still comment. That would be sad.
Okay. But be aware of that. So basic and core don't have that option, but complete does.
Exactly. And I think that's a big deal. I think the filter function, for those of you who moved from 19 to 20, that's when that filter function came in that really got powerful. I would miss that, especially if we're on a more robust file. Maybe I'll jump into one. I could just do it right now just to show you what we're talking about before we dive into what we're after. But
Revu 21, does it kick off? So Revu 21, does it? Yeah, after trial, it goes into view mode. It's just an unassigned license. So it's a reader, essentially. You can still take your measurements. They don't place measurements on the PDF, but you can still take a measurement from point to point.
Correct. So what we're talking about with the filtering sorting, here's another demo document. This one has a number of comments in it. So some are blue, some are yellow, some are red, some are orange. These are all different disciplines that are putting markups on the plan, right? And if I go to the markups list, I can go see by subject, sorting by subject, right? Here's the architect, here's the contractor, here's the engineer. Well, there's a lot of stuff on here. And if I only want to see the contractor comments, I can go click filter, right? That little filter button, everything turns orange. Now I can go do contractor and look what that does to my markups list. It's really simplified. I'm only seeing the contractor comments. And if I pull this down or dismiss my markups list, you'll notice that the PDF itself has changed. Anything that's not a contractor comment has been graded back. So now I can just go focus on the things I need to focus on. Now, this is just a one-page sample document. On a real project, this plan set might be 100 pages, and I might have just a ton of things to filter through. So this is why that filter command is so powerful, because it's really going to simplify the PDF so you can just focus on the things you need to do. Now, impromptu Halloween theme colors, can we talk about that? Because that's pretty cool. So we've got some different things going on here. If you do not have core or if you do not have complete, you will not be able to filter. And that's sad.
Or
right?
sort your data.
Or sort. So this
Yep.
is the sorting, right? By clicking on any of these different status or these titles of the columns, I can't sort them. You know, where's all the blue things? You know, where's all the measurements? This sort functionality appears to be disabled in basic or core. So if any of you guys are listening in who have basic or core, can you double check this for me? Because we don't have access to it. I wish we did, but we don't have access to double check those things. But according to this guy right here, filter and sort markups and comments in the markups list is not available on basic or core. Now, Ryan is saying that he has core and can sort and filter. Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe we'll have to reach out to Bluebeam and see what they mean by this and add a little bit more detail because, yeah, agreed. Such a simple, powerful feature. Again,
that might be the export too. So scroll down. Might be some more.
There's just so much on here.
Scroll back up. So it must have been, this may be customizing the exports, but I think there's another one that says that above somewhere.
It's just document markup and tracking.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think on this one, that getting rid of that functionality would be ridiculous because the markups list is the biggest differentiator between this and other PDF solutions, right? And to limit or handcuff or filter down, no pun intended, any sort of functionality of the markups list would be a poor move, I think, in my part, in my opinion. But I also get it, right? Push everybody to complete. You know, it's going to work better. So good to know. All right. Let's continue on. So I opened up this file to show you the markups list. I showed you the filter. I showed you the sort, but that's really not what we're here for, right? We're going to go back to our takeoff and then go do our thing, right? So let's assume we're doing electrical takeoff. We need to have somebody verify this, this data, right? These counts that we've made. There's still some links that need to be taken, some conduits, some other devices that need to be measured. But overall, we're going to assume that I'm a junior estimator and I need to have somebody else check it for me, right? So how can we do this? Well, inside of the markups list, there is ability to do a status. And that status will let you say, hey, it's been completed, it's been done. And you can go click on some of these things and you can right click and you can set that status to some of the ones that come out of the box. Now, Liz, I know you're getting excited about statuses. We're just going very, very generic today. Accepted, rejected, completed, or canceled, completed, and none are out of the box, right? That's what it comes with by default. And I think most profiles, I'm always in the review advanced profile. If you haven't seen that one. So in the review advanced profile, those are the statuses that come with it. Status I will always get that screwed up. But some basic ones to this.
There's a question in the Q&A for upgrading your existing Review 20 licenses. Just be aware if you were on existing maintenance, you will be rolling into the complete tier. If you just had a perpetual license, you, with no active maintenance, which is their old subscription model, and now they have a new pure subscription model, you're purchasing into a new tier of whatever your choosing is. But if you had review 20 on existing maintenance, you're being cost neutraled into the complete tier.
Correct. Cost neutral. Like that term?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't cost you anything except for time. All right. So, David, I think we did, and let's do that again because I'm here to have some fun. Now, if you actually need real help with statuses, reach out to Liz Larson on LinkedIn. I'm not just saying that, she's saying that on the chat. So if you're watching on the chat, you can see that she's already recommending or offering her services up for help. I think she's got some blog topics about that too. But either reach out to Liz Larson on LinkedIn or on the MCR LinkedIn group, and we'll get you taken care of over there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she created a blog or a video on it, Alex. So Liz, if you want to post that in here, you're more than welcome to share that with everybody.
All right. So yeah, another question, any updates to adding statuses after uploading a PDF to a studio session? Let's test that today and see what happens, right? All right, so let's create, usually, now going back in time, you always want to set your statuses inside the PDF prior to uploading it or sharing it or whatever. It's going to follow this PDF essentially, right? And the statuses that I have in this one aren't really applicable to the quantity check that I want to do. So I'm going to go create a couple simple statuses, right? The best way to do this is to open up the markups list, and you see this little equalizer slider icon by the status column. We're going to go ahead and click that and go down to manage status. Now from here, I have different state models, right? So my state model can be determining, am I doing review, migration, quantity checks, whatever. We're going to add a new state for that. Additionally, that state could be your company. I could create one for ATG, or I could create one for the mechanical department, or I could create one for whatever I want. So I'm going to start by creating a new state. So I'm going to add, and we're going to call this estimation. Right, and we'll see over here on the left, I have a new estimation option. You'll also notice that it went to the bottom. If I want this at the top, I can just simply move the arrow, and now that will follow the top. Now, in this state, I have nothing in there. I have a state model, but I have no states for that model. I need to create those as well, right? So now I'm going to add, and we're just going to call this verified, right? And I'm going to go ahead and enable the checkbox for color, and we're going to turn this to bright green. That means that whenever I select that particular object and I select verified, it's going to turn it to green. It's going to make that visually stand out on my PDF, so I know that I need to address it accordingly, or I can ignore it because it's been done, right? Again, we're just doing very rudimentary. I'm going to say verified, and I'm going to say double check or questioned, or let's just say double check. Right? And we're going to make that be cautionary, so orange, right? So we can do an oops, because we were talking about it. Oops, right? Sometimes that happens. We're going to make that, let's make that hot pink, right? So now I've got different statuses that I can apply to different markups that are in there, right? Now there is another field that I can go into if I need to modify that. I do have that text option. I'm going to leave that blank for now, right? So now that I have my estimation one, I'm going to have verified, double check, and oops. So let's show you how this works. Before I do that, I'm going to save this to my profile. Now, I'm in my Review Advanced profile. Ideally, I would switch to an estimation-based profile or my company profile or something else, but I'm just going to hit save to profile for now, right? I can always delete it from my profile later, right? So once I hit save to profile, that's now grayed out. I can go to OK. And now when I go to an object and go to my status, I can right click, set status, and you'll see I have a new drop down. Remember before I just had the completed, the accepted ones from the review. Now I have the estimation one, and it shows verified, double check, and oops, right? So depending on how I set this up, as determines what I'm going to see. So my status here shows my state model, and then these are the different states in that model, right? So there's some comments in the chat about using the color. Now, before I illustrate, show you what those colors do as I change them, what we're going to see is that sometimes they're not 100%. They're not going to change everything. So if you're doing snapshots or you've got some weird stamps, sometimes the color doesn't always change, but sometimes it does, and we're going to hope for the best, right? Now, in this particular comment or markup that I selected, that I right-clicked on, it looks like I've got 138 different items. So this means that if I say verified, it's going to change 138 items to green. Let's see if this works, right? So if I hit verified, ta-da, I'm going to go ahead and minimize the markups list, and we're going to pop into review, and you can see those check marks, those counts are now been verified and are now green. So those are verified, right? I don't have to worry about those anymore in theory. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on and go find my other objects. And those, I'm going to say, those need to be double checked, right? See how that color changes to orange? That's because that's what that model state is set up to do. So now I can go through and I can continue working and do what I need to do. Pretty cool, right? Now let's say, well, we've got some, oops, we kind of forgot that. Now I'm gonna be pretty rudimentary with this. I'm not gonna do a count. I'm just gonna circle it or ellipse it, right? And here I'm gonna say set status. That's gonna be an oops, as in, hey, you forgot that. Now I could put a comment in there.
That's a weird, you forgot that color.
I know, but we're
just made it like orange.
Well, orange we're already using for double check. So I'm trying to expand my color palette here. But yeah, now that stands out. Now I've got an issue here. I could have used the markup cloud. I could have done something else. I'm just trying to have a little fun, right? So in my view, if I'm looking at this as a whole, here's the whole, first floor or second floor of this building. I've got the various counts of outlets and triangle thingies and other improper terminology there. I've got those set up, and I went and used my statuses to verify them or double check. Now, notice I go back to the markups list. You can see verified set by me at this time and at this date. So it does give you that time and date stamp, which is pretty handy. Go ahead, Michael. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, because David asked the question of, can we split counts? Instead of splitting or like remerging, let's try this. If you select a count sequence, let's do the red ones that you have up here. Hold control, I believe it is. It's either control shift or alt, one of those three. Get out of that right click. Click them, and then so see this one. This one's the one selected of the grouping that you have. Try and select the green one by doing a shift or a control, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So now two are selected. Shift. Scroll out a little bit. See how the two above it are not checked because they're green. So now let's try to apply the status just to those two and see if it does it just to those two.
We'll make this oops so it stands out.
Scroll up. No, it does it all. So you would probably have to split them. I'm wondering if you merge them, does it give them all the same statuses too? Control Z.
Z. Whoa. Okay. Oh, because let's undo. Huh.
Yeah.
I'm awake. Holy cow. I forget my own undo button, the button I use the most in life.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So right click. And we can split count.
Yep. So now that guy is separate.
Yes. Change that status. Now go back and select the other count and control the orange count Control, select orange count, or shift. Sorry, shift. I forgot.
Yeah, there we go.
Right click, merge counts. Yeah, changes them all.
Yeah, so that's less than ideal, right? But that's also probably not a practical workflow where you would be doing that. If you did need them split because you have an honest reason for them to have a differing status, you would still leave them split. But that's also a good reminder. Shift, Control, and Alt on your keyboard will do different things to different markups. So in this case, I used Shift to add or change my selection as I went through here, right? So if I did want to split my count again and have that be separate, I can. But as noted, Control Z does undo your status setting as well. So even though it's not a physical move or addition to my PDF or to my workflow, it is, basically what did change the color, I suppose. It is changing that status here in the markups list.
So there was a question of, can we sort our markups such as not itemize every instance, similar to Revit schedules? So every single markup, the only one that gets collected as a single bunch of markups would be counts. Sequences are individual markups. That's why you would use a count over a sequence. So that's just a feature of counts. So when you said, is that only available on counts? That's correct. Yep. Now you could, if you wanted to not see specific things, you could put them on layers. But if you're trying to get a bulk itemization of them, the only feature would be a count. But you can make anything into a count. I mean, you can snapshot, that chair. This is an electrical plan. So, that outlet there, you can snapshot it and make that into a count. It's not limited to creating custom check marks or, it's really whatever. It's limitless to your thought.
Right. And this is still out of the box, just sort of using what's here. That's the default check thing. And I think we did that using the search functionality, which again is now sort of handcuffed to the different tiers.
It is. Do you want me to tell you which one? Let me bring it up on the second screen.
Yeah, I think that one's still a complete, right? So
let me confirm.
As we're in here, and I'm looking around, I saw that we had TVs that were counted, right? But I do have a TV over here that was not counted right here, right? So what we're talking about is using the visual search. So I'll go ahead and pull this up. If you haven't seen this in a while, it's still pretty cool. Since I'm in that Review Advanced profile, my search panel is going to be on the right side. It's the magnifying glass. If I select that, we have a text search, which is fairly common in most apps, but there's also a visual search option here, which will allow you to get a rectangle. And I can go ahead and grab that rectangle of that TV. And I'm just going to grab the actual box part, not the whole. I'll grab the whole thing. And notice now I have my rectangle. I'm going to search my current document. And I have this sensitivity slider, which actually can do quite a bit. I'm going to accept the default values and we're going to see what it gets. There are other options in here. If I didn't want to do my sensitivity, if I wanted to filter by color, search for multiple rotations, blah, 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 blah. Depending on how I have this set will affect the time that it takes. On a full plan set, it could take a couple minutes, like go grab a coffee and come back, but this should go pretty quick. So I have my TV selected. I'm going to hit search. It's at 30%, 50%, 90%. It found 21. Now, look what it found. It found ones that already have check marks on them. Uh-oh. Now what do I do? How do I add those? Right? That's part of that whole resume count where I could manually go through and do it. Or I can just come over here and select the ones using the small checkbox.
And then merge them into the existing one.
Yeah. Exactly. So I've got 21 in here. So it looks like these two, that one. Oh, so it just found 3 of them.
And visual search is not included in basic, but it is a part of core and complete.
Okay. So yeah, you can select here to select or deselect all. which I mistakenly clicked on. I just want to go to the 3 that I had. Boom, boom, those 3. Now with those, I have the ability to hyperlink them, mark for redaction, apply account measurement, which I could go do. I don't have an option here to merge counts, right? I would need to go in, and since they are technically selected, yeah, it's weird. I'm kind of stuck. I need to apply a different count to them, and then I have to merge those two to it. So it is totally confusing. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll put those checks on there. So now all my TVs are selected. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss my search panel. But these guys, I can grab and go to my other TV, which was found, right, using my shift. No, there we go. And I can merge those counts. So now they're a part of all of the same one. I should have pulled up the markups list to show that those 3 were separate, but now they're all included. So, you know, it is what it is. So now they're all good. I'm ready to start sharing this file.
Hey, you're doing a good job for being thrown into this last minute, Mr. Hartley.
I
told
good.
Hartley, I was like, hey, I can't present today. I got a new computer. And he's like, hey, I got a new computer too, but I'll do it. And I was like, sweet.
Yeah,
just so you're all aware.
That's what we do.
Threw him into the fire today.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I gotta retake my Bluebeam instructor certification here next week anyway, so it's good practice. So
you're just gonna send this video in, aren't you?
I should. Like,
you should.
You know, they require a 15-minute video, and it's like,
yeah,
dude, there's like 150 some hours of video between Michael and I up on YouTube's, but I digress.
Yeah. So for the new BCI, they're requiring you to recertify. I think it's after 3 years qualification. And then you have to pay a due as well to get all of the new material, because they do give you new material for it as well to keep you up to date. So I think it's great in terms of making sure their instructors are maintaining, right? Autodesk does it for their ACIs as well to maintain. I'm really hopeful that if anyone was listening from Bluebeam, they create color badges. I love my color badges for the amount of years that you've held it. So hopefully we'll see.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I got that to look forward to. But anyway, I'll have to go watch that certification exam prep video that we did last year sometime. So if you are interested in gaining certification, check out that video we did that shows, you know, walking you through how to prepare for that exam, because it is pretty cool, and it's a well done exam, I think, when it comes to
the BCP.
Yeah.
Bluebeam Certified Professional, for all those that are like, why are you always throwing out these acronyms?
Right.
I know
we love our acronyms over here at MCR. Anyway, that's what you get when you got 2 BCIs from ATG. Anyway, so I've got this ready to go, right? I've got my markups. I'm ready to send this off. Let's go talk about how we're going to do that. So now that I've added statuses, right? I created a new state model. I'm going to go ahead and save this file, right? We could tell it wasn't saved because there was an asterisk by the file name. And then when I hit save, it did this little red thing. Now I need to share this, and we're going to assume the file is too large. I know it's not. I can always double check by going to document properties. It's 2.75 megabytes. Well, let's just assume it's 275 megabytes, right? Way too big for email. I don't want to deal with that. How do I share this with somebody? How we're going to do this is using Bluebeam Studio. Now, some folks have used Bluebeam for years, but they've never been into the studio, and it's not a scary place. It's actually quite magical. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I'm going to click on the studio icon, and then I have the option here to choose my server. I'm in the United States. I'm going to choose this one. And I also have the ability to use my Revu login credentials, right? Meaning my BB ID, my Bluebeam ID. If I didn't want to use my credentials, I can use a different one, right? So if you do have an old one or from a different company or whatever, you don't have to use the same login for Studio as you do to log into Revu 21, right? I'm going to go ahead and have it do my review login credentials, and I'll hit sign in. Now it's going to connect. It's talking to the Bluebeam web cloud server, aka AWS. The Amazon system is what they live. And here I'm going to have two different icons at the top. One is for projects and one is for sessions. Projects are where we're going to store our files. And these files don't have to just be PDFs. They can be anything except for an exe file. And is it a zip file too? I thought there was another limitation that we found, but we can put our Revit models, our CAD files, our spreadsheets, our Word documents, PDFs, whatever we want, where we want to have a centralized hub for people to log in and see this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new project. And this is going to be our electrical project. I'm so creative today. And in my electrical project, this is going to allow me our separate place where we can now collaborate, right? So what I did there was I just dismissed my studio panel, and now I have my electrical project. Now in here, this is now on the cloud, but it's not shared with anybody. I have a number of different settings that I can do to add more people, to do whatever. I am stuck on restricting users, right? If I turn this off, anybody with this Bluebeam ID would be able to join, but we're not doing that today. I'm going to add somebody else, a different way. I'm going to add my coworker or whomever it's going to be, right? We're going to fake imagine that, but I can add them by their email address. They'll get an email saying, hey, you've been invited to join the studio project. And in there, I can say, hey, what can these attendees do? Can they, send PDFs? Can they do different things? You can set this up by group or person. We've dived into this a bunch of other times, but for now, I'm making this pretty straightforward, right? But inside of my electrical project, I have no documents, right? Even though I'm in my PDF, Studio is a separate little world, and it's easy to get confused, but there are two separate tabs here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close my electrical takeoff. It's already been saved. Now I'm in my project. I can upload my files. Now, this is where I could have made my life easier. So I'm going to go back just to demonstrate what that means. So here I have electrical takeoff. I opened it back up. If I go to my electrical project now, where I want to upload that file, I can just hit upload files. And if I go to add, there's an option here for open files. And it knows what file is open already. So this is a little trick. If you already have it open, you don't have to go hunt for it, because otherwise you can just go to files here and go add the same file that's already open, right? So I went to open files, have that good to go. We're gonna hit okay. And now it's uploading, right? So now inside of this electrical project, that's what I've got going on here. Now inside of my project, I can add different folders. I can upload different folders. I can set this up to match my company structure. There's a whole bunch of different things I can do. But again, we're just making this real simple, right? I want somebody else to be able to see this file and do what they need to do to it. Now, we talked about sharing. How am I going to share this document with them? Well, there's a couple different ways, right? The first way would be to go in and invite them to that actual project, right? Where I can add their email, then they would be invited in. But what if they didn't have Bluebeam yet? Well, I can also create a share link. And this is a trick that is kind of underutilized, but it's pretty handy. Remember, we're pretending that this file is massive and I need to share it. I could use Dropbox or Google or one of the other ones. But instead, I'm going to right click and generate a share link. And this share link is going to give me some options here. Now, how long do I want to share this for? The lifetime of the project or just 24 hours? Like if you're not checking your email in 24 hours, then enjoy your vacation. I could also require a password, right? Just in case there's something in here that I want somebody to see. I'm just gonna leave that as is. And I can also flatten this document. Now, I don't want to necessarily flatten this one because it is, still a work in progress. if I flatten it, it's going to remove all those markups from my PDF, and I don't want to do that. So I don't want that option. Now I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to create this link to share. Now I can copy that link, copies it to the clipboard. I can go email it, text it, do what I need to do, and that person will be able to open it, right? For this link. They can download that file. They can do a bunch of things in it, and they do not require review on their end, right? Obviously, we want them to have review on their end because then they'll be able to open up the studio and do the things. But if we're just talking file share, they don't have to have review for that, right? Let's see, what does that web link look like in a browser?
It's just a typical downloadable link browser for it. It has like a clickable button that you download it.
Well, we still want to show it. So there we go. I pasted that into the web browser in Review. And it says a Bluebeam Studio file has been shared with you. There's a file name shared by me. And then now you can go download it. Right. So it works out pretty well. It's a great way to share files without needing, to do the Dropbox link, because sometimes I hate Dropbox. Sorry. Except anyway, sometimes you can get to Dropbox and like, oh, you got to update or you got to do something else. No, simple download. Just download that file, and it's just gonna boom. There it goes. It's downloading, and it's pulling whatever version you have up there, right?
But if you updated it, it's not a live link, it's a static link. Correct. So it's not dynamic, it's static from the time that you clicked shared. If there were any updates, it was from that point in time, not from the newer updates. So just be aware of that.
Absolutely. So if I were to open up this file, now I'm going to come back to this because I can open up this file doesn't mean I'm actually changing this file. Since we are in a studio project, this means that I need to treat this as sort of my library, right? Now, if I just wanted to look at it, I can click on it and open it up, and I'll open it side by side, and I can go take a look at things, right? Now, what I can't do is make changes. And how do I know that I can't make changes? Because there's that lock symbol, right? There's that padlock right there. It's a read-only view of what you see. Now, if I close this, notice that lock symbol went away from the icon. If I right-click, I have the ability to download a copy or check it out. Now, when I check it out, it is like a library. It gives me the ability, well, not like a library because we don't want to modify library books.
Yeah, it's the way it file locks.
Yeah.
But you're checking out like a book at the library. Yeah.
Yeah. But I checked it out. Now, when I open it, it's reserving in the ability to modify just to me, right? So now that I have that ability, I can go in here and I can add, different things, and I can do, functions. And then when I'm done, I can close this. And when I close this, I'm going to do it without saving. Watch what happens. Would I like to save my changes? Now it's path to the studio. I'm going to hit save. Now it saved it, but now I have the ability to comment.
Ooh, that's a new update. Minor version, major version.
That's been there for a while.
Has it?
Mm-hmm.
I've never looked at it then.
Wiggles. So I added some things. I'm adding the changes that I made. Now, is this a minor revision or a major revision? Did I add some comments, or did I add a whole other wing to the building? Right? Did I move a tree, or did I add 20 trees? How you do minors and majors will depend on your firm and your workflows. We're calling this minor, and I'm going to check it back in.
How long has that been there?
As long as I remember.
Really? I must have always just click checked in.
All right. Anybody tuned in? No? Am I losing my mind? Anyway, now what's cool about that comment that we just added is that I have a revision history. Now, one of these days, we will do a Bluebeam Studio versus Autodesk Construction Cloud grudge match, cage match, whatever we want to do. They both have revision history.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not really comparing apples to apples. I would compare like PlanGrid to Cloud is what I would do.
Okay.
But we can compare markups, but they're not like,
yeah.
If you think of ACC, the platform is completely a different type of way of coordinating on full projects where PDFs, I mean, you can mark up PDFs in the cloud in ACC, but they're terrible. So that we could compare apples to apples, but like they're not really apples to apples. It's an orange to an apple. Although it would be an apple to apple for PlanGrid almost and Bluebeam Cloud. That could be a showdown.
Well, Liz has got feelings about cloud, so sounds like we're going to have Liz back on. And we're just going to let it out, let that rain cloud do what it do. All right. Anyway, let's go.
Well, Liz should have had her comments for when we had Peter Noyes. Yeah, you say his last name better than I do. On.
Yeah. So what that version did was our original one was 1.1 or 1.0. When I did that minor version, that's 1.1. If I would have changed that to a major revision, it would have been version 2, right? So minor is going to be the after the decimal point, majors before. So small thing. Now, what's cool about this revision history is that you can always restore the old one. So if I want to go back and turn that into my original, I can hit restore now, and it will restore it as version 1.2. And it's going to automatically comment that it was restored from revision 1. So I don't have to go back and delete those squiggles. I can go revert back and do that pretty good, right? So pretty cool. It's a nice way to share it. Now, of course, here is where I would want to go in and share that file again. Since there's been some changes to it, technically, I can go share link and do that. And that link is going to be different than the one that I had before, right? Because remember, it's changing that status. It's not a live link.
And if you have links that are out there, in, what is it, perpetuity, I think is how you say it. You can go to your little stylus thing, Artley, the draw bar, like the settings.
Status bar. This guy?
Yeah.
The sliders?
Yeah, sliders. Manage shared links right there.
Dang, I haven't clicked this button in a long time.
I know.
That's a web link for you.
I wonder how they come up with the web links.
Well,
not
working.
We'll just hit escape. It should work for you all. If it doesn't, we should all send a thing to Bluebeam. But basically, you're able to, maybe you want to copy paste it out, but maybe you don't. But being aware that that will bring you into where you can deactivate your links. You could do this with Studio Prime, by the way, from a management standpoint as well. But from an individual level, this is how you do it individually.
Right. And we're kind of overdue for another visit to Prime. So maybe we'll sneak that in here pretty soon. But for some reason that didn't work. So we'll just ignore that we did that. So good question in the chat. How much space do we have? Remember, this file is only 2.75 megabytes, but we were under the make-believe imagination time that it was going to be 275 megabytes. Your file limits for projects is unlimited. Essentially, there is a limit, but it's so ridiculously high, you'll probably never hit it on a real project, right? I think it's like what, 1 terabyte or like 500 gigs or something for a PDF or.
Yeah, there's a markup limitation, but it's unlimited storage. There's a stylus next to, I think it's like 10 gig, 5 something that you'll have reduced speed, which is true. I've loaded in a project like with videos and stuff like that, because we used to do this way from when we recorded trainings. And you would it would take a while to upload into their AWS server. So that is true. I'll get the limitations right now, though.
Yeah, they say unlimited, but there is some sort of weird number way up there. That's it's not logical for a project to have that big. And if it is that big, you've got other issues.
So yeah, it's under 10. Did I say 10 or 5?
I forgot.
It's too early. It's fine.
Right. Liz is saying 10 gig in the chat.
Yeah. So it's unlimited there's a stylus. So it says right here, unlimited for how many people can join, unlimited for how many files, unlimited any file format, unlimited for big, how big can the files be, unlimited, the stylus says. And if you go down to that, it says it's best to keep the total size of the project under 10 gigabytes for higher performance.
Right. So pretty cool. All right. Let's dive back into here. So I showed you how to share it, right? We can do our little share link. Now, if we open this back up, there's a couple things. Actually, that's not going to apply. So never mind. What I want to do now is move this to a session, right? So we've got our studio projects. We've got our studio sessions. I'm going to move this, add this to a new session so that we can collaboratively work on this. Take off. We're just going to have that one file. Where did it go? It's not there, right? Because this is our project. Now, if we go to our studio sessions, again, changing that icon up at the top, now I have this new one where I have this file. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this and turn this, and I'm going to kill teams because it's driving me nuts.
I literally thought that was my teams. As I've been seeing this, I've been checking my teams. I realize it's your teams. I'm like,
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, I really need to.
He hasn't muted his notification.
Yeah. Party Possums is my team.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So now they're all YouTube famous and they didn't even know it. Anyway, so here we go. Let's go to our projects. All right, this is going to drive me nuts. Hang on. We've got 2 minutes left. They couldn't wait.
3 minutes. Just leave it.
Wait. They couldn't wait. I got to open up my teams and then I got to move it over here and then I got to go mute my chat and then I got to do my thing. All right. Anyway, back at it. Oh boy. I was so close.
Make sure you share the right screen. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So let's go to our session now. Now I'm going to dismiss my project. Remember, we can see our little project icon there. Now I'm in a session. So projects, sessions. Sessions are where we're going to do our PDF and PDFs only, right? So we're moving away from sharing everything to just working on PDFs. Now, if I open up this file, we'll see that session icon. Now, what's special about a studio session is that we can have up to 500 people looking at this at the same time. Now, if I've got 500 people on my project, I've got a whole other problem, but it is what it is, right? So now when we have our whole estimating team go in here to double check things, they can do that. What they cannot do, though, is change or add more statuses. They can only do certain things. Notice things are a lot more grayed out now. I can't resume count. I can't do some other things. If I set my statuses here, I can change them, but I can't add new states. So I'm going to go come back over here to my markups list. I'm going to click my slider bar and you'll see that manage status is grayed out. So that is why we always want to make sure that our statuses are managed in the original PDF before uploading them to a session. And that's where a lot of folks make that mistake where they might actually move it to a session, start doing a bunch of things, and they're like, oh crap, I forgot to add my statuses. And it's too late at that point. There's nothing you can do except for download it, re-upload it. Becomes a big hassle. You don't want to do that. So in the hierarchy of collaborative workflows, make sure that your PDF has the layers, has the statuses, has and anything else that you want to do. Now, another trick that you can do to that we didn't show prior to me uploading this was if I wanted to have that profile, right? So we've got our different profiles here. I'm going to go to manage profiles. I can go export that profile to whatever file that I want. Review advanced. There we go. That lives out there. Separate file. I can then go in here to my studio. I'm showing this real quick. I know we're on time here. I'm going to go to file attachment and I'm going to attach that.
You're going over, Artley.
I know.
Reaching the contract.
There we go. there's that file. So now anybody who opens up this session, all they got to do is double click on this and it's going to automatically set that profile. It's going to give them what they want. So this is what we're talking about at the beginning, is migrating profiles back and forth.
But
So
let me add one thing to that. I know I
now you're
ruined your
going
groove
over.
as always. Click that again. Don't double click, but click it and go to properties. I don't like to have the paper clip. So if you go to icon, I like to show the file icon so that people know, because a BPX file is a profile. So people that are familiar with Revu will be like, oh, I need to click that.
Correct. So now you're ready to go. And that's it. So this is the trick to move your profile from computer to computer, from computer to iPad, but we'll dive in that a whole other time. So
yes,
we're up on time today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your engagement. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Of course, in the meantime, if you've got any other questions, put them in the LinkedIn Morning Coffee Review chat, and we'll see you then.
See you all then.